Hey everyone, how's it going? Last week I put out a video on my top 10 courses in all of Fall Guys, so I figured for this week I'm going to cover my top 10 least favorite courses. These are all courses that if they disappeared tomorrow, the game would probably be significantly more fun. I'm not including any finales or final rounds in this. Those will have their own separate video that's going to rank every single one. I usually try and make these videos very, uplifting and positive, but I am going to be talking about some of the things I dislike most about this game and the courses. I absolutely love Fall Guys. I think this is an amazing game. I play it every Sunday on Twitch. There's just a lot of courses and some of them are not particularly fun to me. So anyways, I'm not going to beat around the bush. We're just going to dive right in here. So let's get started, kicking it off with the least egregious offender, number 10, Hoverboard Heroes. This course was introduced in Season 4, and while it does have its merits, overall I'm not that big a fan of it. One of the biggest issues with this course is the moving platform itself, the hoverboard, and because of the way it's designed, it leads to a lot of players grabbing you at bad moments, trying to push you off, and generally just managing to make it not a very fun experience. And obviously, this is one of those courses where if you fall off and hit the slime, you're done, it's over. Because the platform that you're on moves in this one, you can't pause to get your bearings or do anything to get away from other players. The obstacles themselves in this course are okay. I mean, for the most part, they're nothing spectacular, but there is some fun bits using the low gravity and whatnot. The bit of this course, though, that annoys me the most, more than anything else, is actually the ending. The default version has these pinball flippers that are supposed to knock you into the goal. However, the problem here is if you're not placed correctly on them, or if another player hits you while you're getting flipped in, you will just go flying off to the side and end up in the slime and lose at the very last second, despite doing absolutely nothing wrong. Trolling or even simple bad luck at the very last moment can cause you to get eliminated with the end right in sight. And out of all the times I've lost this course, maybe a handful have been because of an actual error where I've hit the obstacle wrong and gone to the slime, and all of the rest are because of these pinball flippers. There is a variation on this course that has fans at the end instead of the flippers, and I vastly prefer that one. However, that variation doesn't typically show up that often, and even if it did, the other obstacles in this course I don't find are that great. So that's why this course is on this list. I don't hate it, I just definitely don't particularly enjoy it. Number 9, Bubble Trouble. So this course is divided into 4 different sections with a spinner in the middle and sometimes an extra obstacle on top of that. Bubbles are going to spawn randomly in 2 of the 4 sections at each time, and you need to collect 15 bubbles to qualify, or 60 if you're doing it in squad mode. While on the surface this sounds fine, and a lot of the obstacles in the course are pretty fun, it can get annoying pretty quickly. The real issue with this course comes down to the player count. You can have as many as 45 different players, and that's just way too many for a course of this size. Sometimes you're going to get lucky and you'll be able to clean up, go on a spree and get a ton of bubbles, or if you run to an area or camp it and you're the first one there when they spawn, you can get a ton in a short amount of time. But more often than not, you're just going to be fighting to get a handful of bubbles, just going back and forth. The same group of people are just going to be grabbing one each. It's just a cluster and it's not super fun. Even as someone who has qualified on this course every single time I can remember, I think I failed it maybe once or twice, and I have played this course dozens and dozens of times. And I'm someone who also loves the bouncing mechanic, and there is a section in this course that's all about bouncing. This one just really missed the mark for me. It has all the elements of a fun course, but somehow just the way it came together, it leaves a lot to be desired. It also appears way too often if you play squad mode, like almost every other round these days, I seem to be seeing it, and that gets old really fast. Number 8, Power Trip. Power Trip is one of the many team games that you can play in Fall Guys, and despite being on this list, it is one that I usually win, but that doesn't mean that I enjoy it. You're split up into 2 teams, blue and yellow, and there's a bunch of batteries at the spawn point. Now you can grab these batteries, and if you run around with them, the ground underneath you will turn the color of your team. And there's a counter keeping track of which team has more ground covered in their color, and when the timer runs out, whichever team has the most area in their possession wins. First off, there aren't enough batteries for everyone, so if you don't have one, you're going to have to run to the other team and try and grab it from them. And this is where this course starts to break down a little bit. I've spent entire Power Trip matches literally just trading the same battery back and forth with another player on the other team. And this course is also balanced in such a way that if you do manage to get a battery from the other team, within about 10 seconds you're going to have a massive lead. If you can hold on to that, you pretty much have just guaranteed a win. I've gone from winning to in the last 15 seconds of the game, losing by a massive amount. It really feels incredibly unbalanced. Also, being a team game, it requires the entire group to be coordinated. Most of the gameplay in this one is just going to break down to 2 players grabbing each other trying to get a battery. This course can also appear as a final round in squad mode and is absolutely one of my least favorite squad finales. I really don't care for this one, and I let out an audible groan every time it appears. Number 7, Wall Guys. This is a course that was introduced in the medieval themed season 2, and it's pretty basic, pretty simple, easy to understand. You have 3 different walls of increasing height between you and the goal. You need to use these movable blocks to be able to jump up and grab the ledges on each wall to get over them and proceed. Now, this course immediately breaks down after you pass the first wall, because it then requires teamwork by a bunch of people who are competing against each other. And this is going to be a consistent theme that you'll see me bring up later in the video. You can only get over the second and third wall if you use blocks that are the correct height, sometimes requiring you to jump on several other blocks that are lower to be able to get up onto the higher ones. The problem is that these blocks are movable by literally anyone, and if they aren't close enough to the wall, you just can't make it over that wall. So people are in a constant struggle to move the blocks closer, but also pulling them away so that other people won't qualify. If you're somebody who's pushing the block close to the wall, everybody else is going to get over before you. And the moment the block gets close enough, everybody's going to dogpile onto it and try and get over. It's just really a mess. There is a variation where some of these blocks actually have fans on them, and that allows you to soar up and use lower blocks to actually get over the higher walls. And this mitigates the issues a little bit, but even that one, people can still pull the fans far enough away and then just nobody makes it over. Everybody is actively fighting against each other when you have to work together. And as a result, there's so many times where just nobody makes it over the end. There's just a platform way in the corner with a ton of people on it, because it's the only one where you can actually get over the wall, but nobody's pushing it towards the wall. Every step of the way, I find this course really frustrating, and that's why it takes my number 7 spot. Number 6, Big Shots. So changing it up a bit, this course is on here not so much because it's frustrating or hard or annoying, but just because it's really, really boring. And unfortunately, it's also really common, so you're going to see it over and over and over and over. So everyone spawns on a giant seesaw. We'll talk more about those later in the video. And the seesaw may or may not have a rotating axe in the middle, and then either gadgets or fruit are shot from cannons to try and knock you off. If you're playing it in main show, it keeps going until a certain number of people are eliminated, or if nobody gets eliminated after a certain amount of time, it times out and you just qualify anyways. If you play in squad mode, it is 100% timed, so you know exactly how long you're going to be there for, regardless of if people in your squad fall off, and the timer is way too long for a course this basic. I feel like the developers originally intended for the seesaw mechanic to really be a big part of this course. You know, if people were standing on one side, moving the other side down, offsetting and all that, but that's just, it's not how it pans out. People just stand in these 2 exact places on either side of the seesaw, because that balances it out perfectly, and most of the fruit isn't going to hit you. Now, you might get eliminated if you're super unlucky and something hits you at just the right angle, but you just stand right here and you wait until that timer runs out. I have literally won this course by spawning in this exact place and not touching my controller for a full minute. This is not a joke. I did not move, and I qualified. I mean, I guess it's a great course to finish any daily challenges that involve doing emotes or grabbing people, because, I mean, there's literally nothing else to do here. Number 5, Snowball Survival. So here's another course that shares a very similar theme to the last one, where standing in place and literally doing nothing will usually net you a win. In this one, you're in a giant bowl, and there's 2 snowballs that roll around that can knock you flying. They follow pretty predictable and easily observable patterns, but sometimes they might catch you off guard. Varying amounts of the platform under you will be breakable ice. Now, normal mode has everything around the sides made out of breakable ice, forming like a snowflake pattern. Hard mode has pretty much every other square being breakable ice, and easy mode has no ice in the center being breakable, so you can just stand there and AFK and pretty much break this course completely. There are strategies that you can employ, you know, running around, watching the snowballs, maybe trying to grab and push other players off into the slime, but typically speaking, it's better and easier to just find a spot where there's a lot of breakable ice that hasn't been broken, stand near it and just chill and maybe move slightly if a snowball comes right at you. I rank this one worse than Big Shots because at least for a while it showed up way more often and I got so incredibly tired of seeing it. This one is another sleeper course, and by that I don't mean it's a sleeper hit. I mean, it will literally put you to sleep while you play it. Number 4, Stompin' Grounds. So what if you take all of the excitement of the last course and supercharge it with a bunch of random chaos? That's pretty much this course, where you're stuck in a ring lined with bouncy pads, and there's these 3 rhinos in the center that will homing attack random players. The rhinos in this course have no real set pattern, which in a way makes it less boring because you can't just predict where they're gonna go like the snowballs. It also makes it a lot more annoying because they can lock onto a specific player and just pursue that player over and over and over, and it's just not really fun. This course also appears a lot, like so much, and this course is not particularly fun, it's not particularly interesting, and it's way too long for what it is. Skill will take a backseat to RNG in this course, since if multiple rhinos decide they want you, or if you get knocked towards the edge and another rhino decides it wants you, you're pretty much just screwed. The premise of this course isn't particularly interesting, it's not particularly fun to play, and while it isn't necessarily boring, total random chance plays a bigger part in it than actual skill. And this leads to most of the deaths you're going to experience in this course feeling like they aren't on you, but just on the game itself. Hard pass. Number 3. Seesaw. Here's a course from all the way back in Season 1 that I really dislike. Your experience with this course is going to be wildly different, pretty much based on your starting position and a little bit of luck. If you're in the very front row on either side, you're probably going to fly through this course like it's a breeze and have no issues. If you're in the back row, in the center, way off to the side, it's going to be a much different experience for you. Get ready for literal hell. This is another course that immediately breaks down because you have to work together with your competition, but also it requires players to have a basic understanding of physics and motion and tilting, and it seems like so many just don't. The main platforms that you're going to be jumping across, other than where the checkpoints are these seesaws that pivot on a center point. These can go back and forth in each direction, and if there's too much weight on one side, eventually it reaches a tipping point. When this happens, everybody immediately slides off. Now, if everybody would wait for them to even out again, everybody could get across. But of course, that's not what's going to happen because this is a competition. So the moment they even slightly level out, everybody jumps on them and it will probably tip again unless you're at the very front of the pack. There's also several places in this course where the path forward is one single seesaw. If it's tilted to the right and you chose the left path, there's literally nothing you can do. You should probably just jump off and respawn because the amount of time it'll take it to possibly level out is probably going to be longer than you have left to finish the course. This course feels like you're competing directly with people who don't quite understand how it functions. And as a result, you're the one who pays for that. This one, as you can probably tell, I just find aggravating. Now, these two next courses are both my least favorite in the entire game, and I agonized over which one should get the top spot, and eventually I reached a decision, but just keep in mind that these both suck. I greatly dislike both of them. It's pretty much interchangeable which one would get the top spot. Number 2, Some Fruit. Do you like counting? Do you like math in your video games? Even if you answered yes to both of these questions, you're probably still not going to like Some Fruit. So again, this is a course where the premise isn't that complicated. A bunch of fruit gets shot into the course, and you have to count how many of each variety there are. For example, there might be 3 bananas, 2 coconuts, and a grape. After a set amount of time, slime starts to rise up, and everybody crowds onto these 6 platforms in the middle. These platforms will all have pictures of all the fruit that was shown, and then a notice board off to the side will have a number appear on it. If there were 3 bananas on the course and the number 3 appears on the notice board, you have to go to the tile that has a banana on it. You stand on that platform for a second, all the other ones disappear, anybody who was standing on those falls into the slime goes back down, rinse and repeat. So this course fails in a lot of ways. First of all, I'm pretty sure all of us know how to count on a first grade level, and I'm pretty sure none of us find it very fun. You can also just do what I do half the time, where you just see where everybody goes when the notice board shows up, and that's usually the right answer. This is also a course where people grab each other and try and shove them off the platforms, but unlike a lot of courses in this game, I can't really fault people for doing that because you kind of got to find something to do. Also, this course commits the biggest sin, like so many of the others on this list. It appears constantly. In fact, I had a lot of runs that had the 1-2 combo of giving me this and then later on giving me Stomping Ground, and it was just the worst. It made me question why I played this game. I am so tired and bored of Some Fruit. It really is the worst, except for number 1, Perfect Match. So imagine you take the same mechanics from Some Fruit, but instead remove even the counting part. Just remember where the platforms are that show images of specific fruit. At a certain point, all of these images are going to disappear, and then a certain fruit is going to appear on the notice board, and you have to go to the platform with that fruit on it. This course is, again, boring, annoying, and unfortunately you can't mentally check out because you have to give it that 2% of your attention to know where the fruit are. Also, you have to watch out for grabby people who are going to try and push you off. If too many people get on a platform, you're not going to be able to fit in there. It's just a mess. There is a variation where there's a spinning rod in the center, which stops people from zoning out quite as much since you do have to jump if you're in its radius, but you can also just stand on the edge and you're out of its reach, so it doesn't really affect that much. This course used to be extremely common, like insanely common. These days, it's actually fairly rare, which I greatly appreciate, but because of how common it used to appear, it takes my number 1 spot. I love Fall Guys, and that's why I have this many hours put into playing the game just on this account alone. However, all of the courses I listed in this video definitely drag down the overall experience for me. I do know that this video was a little bit negative, so if you'd instead prefer a dose of positivity, I recommend checking out my video on the top 10 best courses in Fall Guys. Because for every bad course in this game, there's at least one good one to balance it out. And that is one of the great things about Fall Guys, is that there is a wide range of courses. There's a lot of variety. So even though there's a lot of courses that I don't particularly like, there's also so many courses that I do really like. And with Fall Guys having been available on PC forever, coming to the Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation for free, there's no reason not to check this game out and see which courses you like and don't like if you haven't tried it yet. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see all of you in the next video. Take care, everyone.